Hey folks, this is a video about an essay that I wrote just in my personal journal about autism and what it is. And I figured that it would be better and would probably reach more people if I read it to you than if I posted it on text somewhere. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to read this essay to you in just my voice and see what happens with the sounds of cockatiel babies in the background. That's what they are. So here we go. Autism seems to function as a disconnect between the will and the intellect. The part of me that intends, that proceeds from one activity to the next, that lives in the movement of my arms and legs, passes unchecked over my intellectual capacity to order, to map, and to categorize. There's a kind of slippage that occurs. These two realms carry on independently, and this isn't easy. For instance, it's hard to navigate the world. To do this, you need a map, but a map is only as good as your ability to read and apply it. You look at the map and say, ah, yes, I am here, and the religious section of the library is there, and this is how I move from here to there. The map gives way to motor movement. You walk, and your walking is infused with the intelligence of the map, transposed into your legs. There is a leap that occurs, however effortless. You look at the map and then decide to act it out. You embody it. You carry it with you in your gait. This process permeates the intellect with will. Wills the intellect. However, for me, the map seems to be just ink and paper. I look at it and can't order it, can't discern its significance, can't find myself in it. It is there, and I am here, and there can never be here. For I am almost always entirely self-contained. My will, the aspect of me that moves and proceeds through time, that leaves itself in one moment and finds itself in the next, and is this perpetual self-transcendence, can never reach the surface. I am trapped within my skin, never able to delimit myself, never able to say, I am here and you are there. In truth, I drown in what I am and can never stop being, what I can never see because I can never surface from it, in my very own volition, my will. I long more than anything to just be something, anything, something fixed, solid, particular. I want to delimit myself. I want to say I am here so that in surfacing from my seething essence, I can encounter something new, something different, you. But even when I try this, even when I say that, yes, I'm going to have an ego, I'm going to be me, this is my identity, finally, it chafes me like a straitjacket. For any limits imposed on my will feel like a prison. Identity seems unnatural. I do not experience a name, a schedule, or even my face in the mirror as a comfort, as something that reminds me that, ah, yes, I am me. But as an enemy, as a burden, as a violation. I rage against limitation, even when these limitations would free me from myself, would rescue me from the abyss I am. Touch, especially, can do this. I find it hard to perceive another's touch as tender. A caress tends not to be pleasant, but painful. It feels like a swarm of tiny flies invading my space, each one a fingertip. For instance, when someone pats me on the arm, it feels unpleasant or even violent to me. I feel irritable, angry, hateful. You dare touch me, says my seething, circling will. Do you think you can treat me this way, as if that arm were me? As if my body weren't a work in progress, a problem working its way toward an indefinite solution, as if I had figured out what is only a perpetual mismatch between the movements I make and the body I sense. Can you assume all that? Please, yes, treat me as if I could expect your touch, as if my shoulder welcomed it, as if it could welcome it, as if I belonged to this world where bodies are souls, where movement and sight are one, where every face emanates and effortlessly displays its own feeling nature, what lives in its countenance, this world of kinesthetic, proprioceptive integration. Treat me, of course, as if I lived in my face, in my hands, in my gait. Act as if that's easy, as if that's the default. Never consider, obviously, that when you touch me politely, flirtatiously, or whatever, I feel summoned to a surface that I cannot yet bear, a reality I cannot yet stomach, a skin on which I can't yet muster the courage to inflict the scar of my inner intensity, my inner boiling, the wave of strife that I am, but can't yet bear to be. For I am not yet myself. I can't bear to be myself, to see myself in the mirror, to step into my skin. Just as a fish doesn't recognize the water it swims in, I drown in the abyss of what is not yet me, of will, of motricity. Otherness is a fable I've heard about but don't really believe. I suffocate in unripe selfhood. Of course I can think. I can think great, magnificent thoughts. Thoughts like great vistas, thoughts of endlessly Mandelbrot set-esque machinescapes. And I am a savant by any definition of the term. I can think quickly, deeply, flexibly. My mind is a wonderland, but I'm not in it. I want to rip my thoughts open, to allow a place for what they can't circumscribe, for what thought can't think. I want to declare I am here, on that thoughtscape, to permeate those thoughts with will. I want to not just think things, not just see them, but be them. Be them. I want to step into my thoughts, to try them on like a glove, to enter the world I've made as an avatar of myself. In short, I want to open. I want to make myself permeable, to make myself bleed, to cut a hole in my belly and let my insides, my blood, my energy pour out and rejoin the world of the living, the world of others. This is, of course, why people cut themselves, why they perform self-harm, even if I never really have. When you cut, the inside literally meets the outside. You feel yourself made permeable, made open. The tension in you gets shattered. The skin is an image of the boundary between will and intellect, between inside and outside, between self and other. When you cut it open, you feel, yes, I am not just myself. I don't have to hide. I don't have to drown in myself. I can see my insides, see my pain. And so I feel myself not just within me, but also outside of me, in a way where my blood is shared, where I can permeate others and others can permeate me, where I bleed. But there are other ways to bleed. Thank heavens, not just ones that inflict lasting harm to your body. Another way is through creation. When I write, or when I speak like I'm doing here, I give form to what seethes in my will. Let it express itself visibly. Let it dance and act on the world stage. What you see here is me. It's me, far more than I am normally. When you write, when you draw, when you compose, whatever, you take the inner pain, the inner seething motricity of your will, what you can't yet express, and learn slowly, painfully how to express it, how to become it, how to step into it. This is, of course, also what we do when we dream at night. The seething, unformed will impulses in our brain's right hemisphere form themselves into the left hemisphere's categorical structures, into the intellect, which is now much looser and permeable with the suspension of disbelief that comes at night. On another scale, by the way, this is what any fiction is, an attempt to live through a will impulse intellectually, to surface into it, to understand it bodily in a way that precedes conscious representation, collective dreaming in a way more literal than figurative. As such, it's no accident that autistic people who take MDMA, i.e. ecstasy, which I haven't taken, or other psychedelic drugs, which I also haven't taken, report a significant lessening of symptoms for months afterwards. Psychedelics are mind-opening chemical compounds, compounds that crack the intellect open and reveal in the intellect what it can't circumscribe, the will, the you are here in its map that reveals that the map isn't the territory it describes, the upsetting influx of territory into the map. Psychedelics, as what cracks open maps, is also what fractures perception and shows that it too is a representation of being that is not itself being, is what lets what precedes perception inflow into the gaps in perception. This is why people always see a tunnel on these compounds. The mandalic, infinite canon/chrysanthemum is nothing more than what you see when you look into a mirror when it's faced up against another mirror. The endlessness that occurs when you realize that a representation, i.e. a mirror, can't represent itself. To take psychedelics, then, is to literally step through the looking glass. I once wrote a play called The Box. It's on this YouTube channel, well, an early version of it. It's not what ended up being produced. A story about a man who lives in a box on stage. one who denies anyone else exists, who doesn't acknowledge that the other person living there, and can't understand how what he sees in the mirror is not the infinite space bounded by a nutshell, but a very real, very finite human being. A woman comes from the audience, addresses him in and through the mirror, as if he were her reflection, and says, "You aren't who you think you are. The world is not what you think it is. Every inside has an outside, yes, but every outside also has an inside. Don't you see?" So she teaches me, that life isn't just an inside. It's outside too, but not in a way where not in a world of separate and single egos, a world where otherness is a threat and enigma, but the world is an ecology of souls, a world where you don't hide behind your face, but exist in and through it. Skin doesn't conceal, it reveals. And so the woman from the audience asked me to step through the mirror, step through the looking glass. And when I say that, "Oh no, I can't," she reaches her hand through. Will parts the intellect's veil, and I, with fear and trembling, step through it. And on the other side, the real world, the world of life, of love, of others, that appears to me. "You're real," I say, and "You're real too," she says back. This play is a pattern for autism, a pattern for my life. The will breaks open the intellect. The veil between action and appearance rips in twain, and life pours through. This is what I'm trying to do. This is my quest so far, not to eliminate autism, but to eliminate the veil that rips me from that severs me from myself. Because I exist, but I don't exist in a way where I am what I am. But I will someday. And I think that that's a great opportunity and a great challenge that I am willing and excited to meet. So yeah, that's my essay. Let me know what you think. I think this is one of the most personal things I've ever written, and I am curious to see how it affected you, if at all. So thank you for watching. See ya.